And you are
This was 3 years ago.
everybody has their
We have the regular color, yellow. While you're waiting, please be sure to review the agenda so you know where we're going, so we don't have to take time to review it. Be sure to review your agenda so that, and if anything's not clear on the agenda, please speak up, but I won't go through point by point since it's all there. Okay? Huh? Microphone. Okay, I just want to tell everybody to please look at the agenda, because the agenda gives the roadmap for the night. We're going to be organized, it's not just a great fest, and we will start on time and we will end on time. Okay, so let's everybody have a seat, and thanks to those of you who contributed to the potluck downstairs. It was pretty yummy. And the days of good potlucks, we gotta bring those back. I'm going to be very brief in my introductory remarks. My name is Annie Landenberger, and I want to thank Russ from DCTV for coming here and filming this. It's my hope that, it's our hope, I believe all of us, that because traffic calming in villages around America is becoming a real problem, that maybe this video that Russ is doing will have some legs after this evening. Within our villages and beyond, I would hope. And I want to thank Breeze for the sound setup, and I want to thank all the members of the Planning Commission for all the work that they've done for this evening. This is very brief background. Since 1995, and perhaps even earlier, this issue of traffic calming in our villages has been coming to the fore now and then. Exhibit A. These are documents from Shannon's files on all the meetings around traffic calming in our villages. Okay, who knows what else might exist beyond these in people's email files, etc. The mission tonight is to send a message to the select board, and I'm so grateful that a couple of you are here, that an accident will happen if we don't do something soon. We are, in these villages, we are an accident waiting to happen. It's serious. So several people have been on committees, Nancy, they've been village trees, etc. Deb Luskin led an effort not too long ago, but recently my partner, Breeze, Verdant, moved in, and then when he did, I realized, oh man, the traffic, it's just not a pretty place to live. So in May, he went to the select board. Soon thereafter, a digital sign appeared heading east on Dover Road that comes and goes. And then I followed up in June. At that point, I volunteered to be a liaison, and I encouraged that we get liaisons from South Newfane and Brookside, and that would be Bud Bergman now and Jen Stanfield. We are not a committee. To me, committees are anathema since I retired from teaching. I can't do another committee, I'll get hives. So we are not a committee, we are individuals representing our villages on this mission to improve this terrible situation of speeding in our villages. We all have anecdotes, and I think at the end, Dan's going to facilitate our closing discussion. If you want to share anecdotes, please just be sure that they are productive, that they get us somewhere, because we don't want to just turn this into a gripe fest. That won't get us anywhere. So where we stand now is that You know, somebody said, oh, we need to have a study, you know, a study group done, all this, and a committee, yada, yada. No. It's been done. We need action. It's been done. Thank you, darling. Okay, so nothing has yielded improvement. So, since I went in June, I put out on Front Porch Forum, and I've collected an email group. Many of you have been part of that, just trying to get people up to date. And we committed to the select board that until this thing came along, we'd be sending a liaison each month to tell them our progress. The mission is to get the message to the select board that something must be done now. Short term, safety is the focus. Accidents are waiting to happen. In Williamsville alone, and granted that each village has its story, we have a scenario here where come winter, this hall is winterized. There'll be winter events here, senior meals here. Just picture this, picture a snowbank, picture ice, picture the eatery open, picture an event in John's beautiful church. Picture seniors trying to get around with people going and without at 45 miles an hour and not yielding. That's not a pretty picture. Short-term safety, long-term village enhancement. We want to feel like we live in villages. We don't want to feel like we live on a strip. So think of it that way. Right now, we need action for our safety and for the safety of kids and our elderly, which none of us are, of course. Second, village enhancement. That's where the window boxes come in, etc. That's that poster over there. I'll explain the posters in a minute. That's that poster. Village enhancement, window boxes, murals, yada yada. Make it beautiful. Make it a livable, beautiful place to be. With that in mind, I know I don't have to really get you because you guys are here, but if you need to convince other people about the value of village enhancement and traffic calming, talk about the pocketbook. Your property, my property value, I feel, is in question because of the traffic problem. You want all of our property values to be high, right? So that the tax base is nice and wholesome and robust. Look at the number of houses for sale along Dover Road. That's not a good sign. Those houses will start to go for less and less. Tax base drops. I'm not an economist, but it's not rocket science. So, first, safety, and that's where we are tonight. So, to close, there have been many changes over the years. When we first moved here, my son Connor and James, Gordon was terrible, but they were at it, but they were all Jim Lessing, let them put up a 4x8 platform right outside the store. They were skateboarding there. Right there. Like doing those flips and things, landing in Dover Road. My boys, when we first moved here, were biking that road, heartily and happily, and they would run down to the swimming hole. I would never send my grandson down Dover Road alone. I'm not even sure I would go with him on Dover Road right now. It has changed. If you listen on VPR, there's a story about the fact that highways all around the nation have been straightening out the curvy roads. Why? It's just inviting this problem. Go figure. So on top of that, we have electronic distraction, which is rampant. How many times have you had to dodge a car coming over into your lane? And beyond that, it seems like the underground says this is the best and coolest way to race to Mount Snow. So all those factors have changed since I first moved here in 1996. So today must be a catalyst, a deliberate insistence on improvement. And you have the agenda there, and I think that if we follow it closely, we'll be in good shape. These issues are for each town, we'll get to them soon. And just put in your hopper that tomorrow there'll be a wrap-up session for anybody who can come and who's interested at 9 o'clock. I know it's not great for working people, I apologize for that. But it will be at Lynn Forrest and Joanne's house at 492 Dover Road. Tomorrow evening, we'll be doing some sort of report to the select board. I am not going to be riding a white horse on this forever. I want to get this out there, and I don't have it in my mindset right now to carry it much further than this evening and tomorrow. But if things don't happen, I know there are going to be a lot of angry villagers. And I just want to say one last thing. I wanted this room to be twice as full. Here's the deal. A lot of people are just fed up. There's a lot of ennui. Like, no matter what we say, it's not going to change. And that's, I feel, why the house isn't full. So we've got to let people know that it will change. Right? Yes. Okay. Thank you. Next up is State of Traffic Calming Walkable Villages Today. Let's invite Marcia Highland. Hey, it's just 10 minutes. It's just 10 minutes. That's pretty good. So Marcia Highland and Lynn Forrest from the Planning Commission. Okay.
Oh, you're right.
Lynn and I just went to a traffic calming training up in Berlin. Yes, and there's another one for those interested on October 30th in Manchester.
A little louder, sorry.
Okay, there's another one happening in Manchester on October 30th, and it's given by the Agency of Transportation. And I highly recommend you, if you're really interested in this issue, to check it out, because it really helps you to understand the subtleties of the traffic calming situation.
You can do so.
Okay.
It's up to you. I'm going to ask you where I ran out of ink.
So there are several types of traffic calming, and not all of them are suitable for our village, obviously. But I thought I'd touch upon some of the things that would be suitable for our villages. And one thing they mentioned was called the road diet, which is narrowing the roads and adding on-street parking, which is a situation that our villages really need. We need some on-street parking because of this vibrant village here. Also, bike lanes can act as a narrowing thing and also provide a safe place for bikes to ride and a place for people to walk. Another thing that might work for the village, and I know the road crew is not going to be happy to hear this, but it's the speed hump, which are not speed bumps. They're different. And they're 12-foot wide or 14-foot wide, and they only go up about 3.5 inches. And and there's different rises, and so there are two types of rises that are better for plowing. So it would be less difficult for the plowing and tapping. And also, as far as emergency vehicles, it's easier on the emergency vehicles. And the delay would be from 1 to 9 seconds, they say, from the Agency of Transportation. Another thing would be crosswalks, and well-signed crosswalks was another issue that could, an item that could work for traffic calming.
Okay, yeah, that's good. So I want to say that Marcia and I are here representing the Planning Commission that has been trying to support the village liaisons in this issue. It is what transportation and traffic in general is something that the Planning Commission is working on, among its other things. So anyway, I'm looking forward. And what I've handed out to you is something that struck me as what is traffic calming when we talk about it. I'm not going to read it. You can read it, you're all grown-ups. But it's not exactly what I thought it was going to be. The biggest light bulb that went off for me at this training was that stop signs are not traffic calming. And I was like, what? That's all we're talking about, stop sign. And stop signs are, the purpose is for safety, and so that you can see, and everybody can see around what's going on. And what they found in their research is that we have a stop sign, somebody stops, if they stop, and they go zoop to the next one, and they stop, and they go zoop to the next one. It's the same issue that happens with speed bumps. You know, oh, darn, speed bump, speed bump. However, the speed humps, when they're done in a series, creates traffic calming. And that's an actual big physical thing on the road that can be temporarily tested to make sure that it actually works. One of the things that, of all the solutions, now I can't do the whole thing, we were there all day, so I'm not going to keep you until midnight. So I just wanted to give a brief summary of what I thought was so surprising. The statistics on here, if somebody's going 38 miles an hour and they hit you, you're probably dead. And I think that's the biggest issue. I was surprised at how disastrous that kind of traffic issue could be. In the back, there are these flyers or these pages of information. There's also pictures of what traffic humps look like, so you can picture them. They can as you drive up to it, they can have the arrows so that people know. They can work very well with snow plowing, which is going to be one of our big issues. And if we said if we said bumps, the road crew's going to say we can't do that. But the training was put on by V-Trans, and V-Trans is in Vermont, and they get snow up there too. And they said that the speed humps work because it's such a rise gradually. Just say, oh, the other thing, there's just what I have. The other thing that there was a big deal of why street drive, a lot of the issues don't work when we try to calm traffic or control it, is if we don't have enforcement, and it's like, okay, I go right through the stop sign. I know that along where I am, people are going 60, 80 miles an hour because it's a straightaway. So I think this will give you a little bit of an overview. Now I can take questions.
I'm just curious, can you explain the speed bump, how that actually slows down traffic?
Yeah, go for it.
There's a speed hump.
Would you stand up?
Oh my God.
And they want to film you.
They didn't see me say that, did they? I think there's a speed hump in, where's your state? There's a speed hump right when you go in. It's awesome. Go there. It has lines. It has Hot Mill Hill. Sorry. It has lines on it that make you go.
There's several at Brattleboro Memorial Hospital in the main entrance
So you can
that aren't a bump, but a gradual hump.
The other thing that works really well with the humps is that they're done in a series. If you have just one, if somebody's going to go over it and then go on their way and go back to 60 miles an hour. But if you have a series of them and there is, you have the measurements, 250 feet apart.
600 feet.
To 6, that they're measured. And then that continual, I'm going to slow down, it actually encourages people to change how they're driving. Because what we're asking is we're asking drivers to change their behavior. And we're giving them a motivating reason to change their behavior. A question here, a question there, and now back to you. Michael, would you stand up, please?
I'm young. I live down by the covered bridge. Do the humps meet with the state requirements for the Dover Road thoroughfare?
The Dover Road is a town road.
But doesn't the state have some type of?
This was a, this.
Okay.
This is a further investigation that needs to be done.
It's a state aid highway,
It's a state
so
highway.
the state definitely has almost everything to say about what happens.
Okay, so I don't have the answer to that, but I know this was a training done by V-Trans for rural roads. And just for rural roads, it wasn't for the like, Vermont 3. Okay, one, two.
That answers my question.
Okay, great.
That's the trouble we had years ago when we tried to get pumps. Was it the state road? And they said no. So hopefully they'll say yes to humps. One thing I've
that a
noticed.
bump or bump?
That was a bump.
Yeah, so it's just different.
I know, I'm saying hopefully they'll be okay with the humps.
What's the difference?
A bump is really fast.
I'm glad they're not just this.
And the people that plow say they're hard to plow, but that is not true because UVM had humps and bumps. Anyway, we could do a book on this, hump and disc. One thing I've started doing in this town, I live right across the street, and instead of going to slow down the people because I usually get, some finger coming at me, I've been waving to people. And I tell you, it changes my attitude. I feel more friendly. I don't feel like going to you. And there's sometimes eye contact, and it's like, oh, they realize there's somebody watching. So I encourage people to wave to each other when you're walking.
No, I'm good.
Yeah,
Did you,
would you please stand?
Yeah.
Thank you.
what about like rumble strips?
Yeah.
Like going into tolls to get your attention? Maybe right before speed limit signs?
I don't know. I don't know. If you think that is something that would work, when we get to the place where you put your dots on the places, and the solutions you think are going to work, then that's
Put that
up
on
somewhere.
Put that on. Other is right over there.
I mean, it's the same as you're coming into a toll, if you're not paying attention, they wake you up.
Or you cross the line.
So in
Or
that
when you cross, yeah, it wakes you up, pulls you right back.
Okay, but Pete's going to.
I was just going to say that in many places, the noise of a rumble strip
Yeah, get your attention.
turns it into this. Taking them out,
I will pay you for that comment, because that led me into something I didn't bring up. So hang on a second.
Yeah.
So some of the issues that that we look at is we're trying to find a balance, and that's on the sheet that I gave you. Finding a balance between what pedestrians need, what bikers need, what people who are little kids need, what the people that are driving need. And that's the goal, to get a balance and to as much as possible accommodate the needs of everyone, especially with the focus on pedestrian safety. And the issues we'd be looking at are, I wish I had not left my glasses on.
Would you like mine?
Yes.
They are.
Somebody else has that problem.
Okay, I had another birthday. So the issues that have been brought up for like speed humps and other kinds of attacking the traffic calming problem are the need for a rapid response by the fire department and emergency vehicles. Snow removal, as I said, the road key needs to be able to get through. I definitely want them plowing in front of my house. Waste collection, and more and more this happens throughout the villages. The funding for traffic calming, that's going to be a big deal, and that's going to have to be discussed. That's going to be hard issues for the select board. I know that there's funding out there. I don't know what the details are. Then there's this thing called NIMFY, not in my front yard. And residents may want slower vehicles going by, but they don't want the noise from it. So do it down here, but not in front of my house. And so that'll be another issue that I'm sure will come up through those. I think I covered everything I needed to do. I think there was one more. Oh, Maureen?
Yeah, what about, traffic patrolling? I mean, the state police, don't we use them? I mean, I haven't seen one around in I'm retired now, I'm home all the time, in Brookside, I don't see anybody patrolling at all. And I've even called them and offered for them to sit on the side of my garage or barn, and there's a curve on each end, they can get them.
Yeah.
You know, because that's 35 there, and I'm right on Hunterbrook, or the corner, and it's 35 miles an hour there, and they're going 60. I mean, yesterday, Mike and I, Mike's my cross the street neighbor, and him and I were out there talking, and this truck, I mean, it had to be going 60.
Yeah, you couldn't tell what type of truck it was, because it,
They were going so fast, and we were like this far from the road. I park in my garage across the street, across Dover Road in wintertime. I have to roll down my windows, listen. I can't see, and because of the curves, but if they were going 35, it'd be different. Twice, people have spun around and hit snowbanks just because I'm not even pulling out, I'm just inching to the edge of the driveway, and I have to back into that garage to pull out, because there's no backing out of that garage. So, you know, and just by inching up, one guy, you know, he hit a patch of ice, spun around, got 2 flat tires, and he looks at me. I didn't move, I wasn't even in the road. You know, but,
had someone
you
at
know,
the
they're
door.
speeding.
Beeping.
The points are all taken, and if you go to the second page, which is only black because I ran out of color. Enforcement is critical in locations to achieve compliance with posted speed limits.
Because they make money, the state, like if it's the state police or the sheriff, they make money and the town makes money on each ticket. But I don't know what the budget, what the fines were for the judicial fines.
That's one of your options, by the way, when we get to this point in the meeting.
Okay.
So where everybody's going to go through and be able to say, this is what I believe would work. And then we'll come together just for sort of a wrap-up discussion. So hold on to that thought. And the thing is, too, that like people say, well, studies say, well, okay, studies can speak miles, I understand, but we live here. So, you know, at some point it's got to be studied muddy when we have an idea of what we think would work. I don't know, do you want to?
Where are we going?
Well, we've got till 7:35 before it buds up, and I don't want to be like, you know, a whipcracker, but I do want to stick to the agenda. So we still have 10 minutes, but if we can move on.
Let me do Chris, you get out a couple
Okay.
times. So let's do Chris. Yeah.
I'm all for the speed humps, I love that idea. I just think that before we get too excited about it, does it make sense to find out if Dover Road is considered the Vermont state kind of road that, for whatever reason, would not be allowed there? Because I can imagine stickers all over and all of us getting excited, and it seems like that's something we could find out with a phone call, I would think. You know, before.
All right, so here's my suggestion on that for this meeting right now. In order to make things easier, everybody got 4 stickers, and you're only supposed to have 3. So go ahead and put the extra one up there. Or on another place that says, investigate whether we can do this or not.
I'd be happy to make the phone call.
That'd be great.
We'll take tomorrow night as a wrap-up meeting, you know, I think. That's right. I just think it would be good to know that.
I think right now, it's a matter of getting people's views of what really would work. There's a lot of research, I think that, I mean, I hate to say it, put Mary on the spot, but, you know, the select board's gonna have to do a lot of research after all this input is assessed.
Okay, so we've got one more. I'm going to walk in, so we can finish. Yeah.
So, I'm new to the area. I moved up here about 2 years ago. I'm from New York, so I know a lot about traffic and all sorts of things that they try to do. So you do have the electronic speed limit signs, but they do make solar-powered surrounds that go around your actual speed limit sign. So if you do go over 35, it blinks at you. So, you know, it's probably cheaper than the speed limit signs, and then it can go on all of them. It's solar-powered, no worries about batteries or anything. So that's another thing to think about. And also alert lights. They have just lights that'll go off once you pass 35.
If that's not up anywhere, add it to the one over here.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, Dan.
Can I just speak a minute to this, is it the constable thing, the tickets? The select board has the power to decide what the policy is. So the select board can negotiate a contract. If the sheriff's department or the state police have anybody available, which they don't always because they have their own issues. But assuming that they have somebody that they can do a contract, the town can do a contract with them and they can say, we want you to give a ticket to everybody that exceeds the speed limit by 1 mile an hour. Or we want you to give a warning to everyone, or we want it 5 miles. They can set the parameters of how they want to do it. They can say how many hours, and they can, depending on how they work the contract, they can be fairly specific. We want 4 hours of fine or ticket rating in Williamsville. If the select board decides to do that, then the select board faces an avalanche
Yes.
of massively pissed off people
Yes.
who are mostly local.
Yes.
And so the select board has to decide, okay, who wants this more? Who wants what more? So
Right.
that's one of the things they're facing, but they actually, they can decide by negotiating a contract with either the state police or the sheriff's department what that enforcement might look like. But if you want them to just start writing fines, then you had better marshal a bunch of people to also want them to do that, because they will hear from an army of mad people.
They'll not be voted for, period.
Mary, would you stand as your select board chair?
Just to respond to what you're saying, Dan, right now in Newfane, the incorporated village of Newfane pays the sheriff, pays the state police. We don't use the Wyndham Sheriff Department. And so we pay the state police to go on Route 30 and on the back roads. We've talked about the fact of perhaps Williamsville and South Newfane and and Brookside hiring, but the question is, who is going to pay for that? So that's something we're looking at, because right now, the sheriff's department does not work for us. The state policemen work for us. And the incorporated village of Newfane pays them, not the town of Newfane.
Okay, I've got one, two, you have something to say, so your head kind of going. No? Okay. Maureen, and then Breeze, and then we're going to call at the end.
Okay, well, I have a question for Marion. It's what are our tax dollars paying for when we pay the state police that we're paying now? And I don't remember what it is. I don't know this now.
Are you asking the figure?
I'm asking, no, I'm not asking the figure.
What they're doing?
Because
For that.
for the money that we do pay them,
Yeah.
it was in the thousands. I mean, last time when I was working there, it was 22,000.
I didn't think we had a contract.
So
No, the state
the state police.
We pay the state police because
I thought we paid for patrolling.
we pay the state police to give out speeding tickets or anything that's having to do with traffic on the roads right in the town of Newfane. We pay them to go up in the back roads when there's
In
problems.
the town of Newfane, the village pays for that. I'm talking about our tax dollars that's in our budget
Right.
for the traffic count, for the state police. What do they do for the town? They used to come and patrol Williamsville, they used to come and patrol Brookside, and they used to do South Newfane. And other parts, I mean,
Right.
the village only went as far as the town office, and then from the town office on,
Right.
the state police would patrol that, and then, we wouldn't get a lot, but I remember I used to get judicial fines
Right.
coming in every month. I had to look it up, and I had to put it in my checking account, what they transferred to our account for the fines. And they went from like being $2,000-3,000 a month, and our part of judicial fines to like $180, and nothing, it just went. And
Okay, I think this is a continuing issue
Yeah.
we discussed by the
Yeah.
select board. Thank you.
but
Breeze, and then we're going to wrap it up.
Well, it's just a very general question. I would think sitting on the side of the road, nailing one speeder after another would be a very lucrative business. I just don't understand why it doesn't pay for itself,
Well,
So
it
should. Why does it cost money to do it? I should think you'd be able to hire the state police and pay for all your jobs with the time.
Everything I've read about it, really does indicate that that's a potential.
Yeah, I don't understand why we're paying them to get the rap.
I will say that if people perceive that the reason tickets are being given out is a fundraiser for the town, that,
It's for the
they're going to be
position.
really upset.
It's for the position, not for the town.
Anybody?
It's a fundraiser for the position. It's to support the position of law enforcement, speeding enforcement.
Right, I know that, but if people who are getting the tickets think, Nufane's getting so much for every ticket.
Well, they keep getting a lot of
They're
tickets.
gonna make it drive slower. All right, thank you for getting tickets.
Okay, next up, Bud Berkman's been in the area, I think as long as I have, not longer. He's in South Newfane. He's quite a distinguished architect who's had an awful lot of experience with not just architecture, of course, but also with sort of village planning and contiguous, whatever. Okay.
Can you hear me okay? I moved here in 1995. I live right in the middle of South Newfane. And just as a little background, I asked myself today, if you go up and down the road, what's happened good and bad to kind of put things in perspective? You know, and if you start down at the concrete arch bridge, that's going to be rebuilt, I think, in a very good way. It's a real plus. We've got the eatery open, that's a real plus. We've got the Grange operating, that's a real plus. The post office, I feel the porch of the post office was ruined by that ramp. They did a terrible job with that. The bridge going over Baker Brook, the railings are awful. Then you got the wonderful covered bridge, so what a victory. You know, that was a wonderful victory for the town. And then you keep going, and the Green Iron Bridge after Irene was saved, and that's a great victory. And then that wonderful rock wall, when you come in to say, you remember that one, Chris and Carol, that was a marvelous victory. That was going to be a very different kind of wall, should I say. And then you come into South Newfane, and the inn is going to get open again now, which is, I think, a plus. The people who worked on the South Newfane Community Center, the little old schoolhouse, that's a wonderful thing now. On the negative side, we've got the general store. It's a terrible disappointment. The bridge over the Rock River there, which many of us were involved in, I would say I'd give it a C. But the bridge up toward Pete Fenlone's house, I think is a pretty nice bridge, that new bridge built after Irene. So anyway, there's goods and bad. So hopefully traffic calming can produce some goods. That's the idea of all. Not only slow traffic, but make it a better village, better three villages. Okay, this little picture, which you probably can't see, is a little girl walking along in a village and she's safe. It's a lovely little village, but she's safe. But I can guarantee you that in the next 3 years, a child or somebody is going to be killed in one of these villages because the way they come through here, they're like a bat out of hell. We've all seen it, and they ignore us, they roar, they go 50, 60 miles an hour. So this is serious stuff. Now, getting to what I'm going to show, what I did is I went to an example of something that was changed, which is West Street in Newfane. Certainly Marion knows West Street, and Maud knows West Street, and you know, B. McFarland had a lot to do with this. And so I measured West Street, and I measured the parking, I measured the width of the road, I measured the sidewalks, I measured the grease tube. And I thought, well, if they could do it in West Street, it's a little different, but maybe we could use that as a guide in some ways. And so based on that, I came, and after talking to people and reading some of these documents, I came up with basically sort of a beginning scheme for the three villages. And keep in mind, it's a beginning scheme. You won't hurt my feelings if you tell me you don't like this or do like that. And so what this is a drawing of West Street, and it's in your handouts with the dimensions. This is a typical plan, and I'm suggesting that we narrow the road and we really take it down like West Street. West Street has traffic lanes that are, I believe it's 8 feet, 8 inches wide, each travel lane. The parking width is 17 feet. Now, just by comparison, the road through Williamsville, South Newfane, and Brookside is 22 to 24 feet wide. So I'm trying to say 5 feet of road, okay? And
Total or on each side?
huh?
Total 5 feet, total? Or
On each
On each side? On each lane?
I think, you know, if we ever go ahead with this, you're going to be hiring some engineers like they did up at West Street, and they will lay out precise. My gut feeling would be you'd probably keep the north edge where it is, more or less, and then on the south edge, have some parking, which could be gravel, doesn't have to be paving, and then some greenery and sidewalks if people desire sidewalks. We have a 50-foot right-of-way. The trees have to be at the edge of the right-of-way. We went through that with the village tree group several years ago. They wouldn't let us pull the trees in, which would be nice, but I've accepted that. So anyway, so then the next thing is, that's kind of the basic road, okay? Or road change. The road gets narrower, just in the villages, not out on the main way. In each of the villages have some kind of very wide crosswalk, and I picked 20 feet. And that would be either, it could be a speed bump, it could be gravel if you want to save money, it could be unit paving, something that really defines a walkway and slows traffic. It's got to be felt by the drivers. And then there's other things like stop signs and this and that we can talk about. So those are the basic ideas of this. And then next thing is, let's see, starting with Williamsville, okay? I'm suggesting that we do this total road width of 8'8" plus 8'8", or 17 feet 4. That's the asphalt. And that would go from the Baker Brook Bridge all the way to the concrete arch bridge, okay? And then on the south side, there would be parking where we can get it, and that would be gravel. And then beyond that, there could be greenery, a 4-foot green strip, and then a sidewalk, okay? And so, you know, you can walk on the sidewalk basically all along the south side of the village. And then at the Grange, I picked the main crosswalk. And that would be, go outside, be 20 feet wide, and it would be really felt. I also added, and it's just, these aren't just my ideas, but there's other people. But, you know, I added some stop signs around Baker Brook. I added some stop signs around the eatery. And let's see. I think that's about it. I added a raised walkway on each side of the bridge over Baker Brook. Again, sucking in the road, giving people something to walk on, and suggested changing the railing from that god-awful band rail they use everywhere to something that looks like a pedestrian rail. So you're always trying to send signals. This is a walking place. This is a town. This is a village. This is not a highway. So anyway, those are some ideas for Williamsville. Then South Newfane. Same kind of idea. A narrowed asphalt road. And here I wasn't quite sure. It could start at Jeunesse Drive, or it could start, you know, at the bridge over the Rock River. But it would go all the way over to Jones Hill Road. So it's quite a long way. And that again would have, keep in mind, you're taking a 24-foot wide road, you're sucking it down to 17 feet something, and then you use that extra bit for parking, greenery, and a sidewalk, including on that god-awful curve going down by your place, you know, which is very, very, very dangerous, as we know. So I added a raised walkway on the north side of the bridge over the Rock River, because there's only a raised walkway now on the south side. I put a stop sign by the, you know, we have stop signs where Auger Hole Road meets Dover Road. I added another one over by the Green Iron Bridge. And then, let's see, what else did I do? I think that's pretty much it. So So, yeah, you can look at these things, and, yes.
Do you have the same idea there for, as we're talking here about the gravel? I didn't hear.
Oh, yeah, I had the, you mean the cross thing?
Well, no, gravel for where parking would be, and then where would that be? Because I don't.
Well, it would be, again, on the south side of Dover Road.
No.
Yeah, on the south side of Dover Road, think of the south side of the road as like 5 feet of it is taken out. And then it becomes gravel for parking, and then some greenery, and then a sidewalk. And, you know, it'll be interrupted at times. We can't do anything about that. But, you know, at least we go all the way from the old schoolhouse, but it could also go all the way from Jeunesse Drive. And that, you know, that's sort of a community decision, and money, too. I mean, money is another issue in this whole thing. So, oh, and I did also at the church, the South Newfane Church, I got another one of these 20-foot wide crosswalks that could be gravel or speed bump, whatever, you know, whatever people can afford. But gravel would be the cheap. I remember when Chris Petrak and I were on one of these bridge committees, Chris's idea for traffic calming was, why don't we just let the road run down? That's not such a bad idea, you know? I mean, there was a book when I grew up, and it was a great Vermont book, and it was titled The Importance of Bad Roads. It was a classic. I think it's out of print, unfortunately. But anyway, so there's a few more things. Going to, I couldn't get as good a map for Brookside yet, because Wyndham Regional, they got me something, but it wasn't quite as accurate. So I did more or less the same thing, though, in Brookside, and added a couple stop signs, narrowed the road, put some parking on the south side, some grass, and a sidewalk if they want a sidewalk. And I did not show a crosswalk in Brookside because honestly, I didn't know where to put it. There didn't seem to be any major place, you know, and so that's something the Brookside people should probably think about. So,
Between Maureen's house and her garage.
My garage is across the street.
Well, actually,
Yes, that would be good. Perfect.
that's another case where if you put up a Brookside sticker on crosswalks, then annotate it and give your idea. Okay, so we'll get to that. We'll get up and move around soon. You put a Brookside color sticker on the crosswalk sheet, and then you'd say where you have an idea to put it. Okay.
so anyway, that's what it's all about. And the drawings are meant as they're working drawings, are meant as a tool. They can be marked up, changes, whatever. Again, they're a beginning. Yes.
Marion, have you found that that West Street, the traffic has calmed on West Street since the installation of the sidewalks and
There's a lot of speeding still.
but comparatively?
I don't know if
There's been no studies,
there's
maybe there's
There
studies to be done.
I mean, when you live there, you start recognizing certain cars that come through the door very quickly and speeding. And we also have a lot of logging trucks coming down. And there are signs that the thing about West Street is, as you know, Bud, that they arrange the parking areas so that you have to weave a little bit on the street. So that does slow, that was the purpose there, of slowing down traffic. So in other words, you cannot park anywhere on either side. You can park here and then the road, the curb comes out. And so that has made a big difference.
Yeah, you also have granite curbs, which I didn't feel comfortable throwing granite curbs into this mix. You know, they're expensive, the snow plowing people don't like them too much. So I didn't go there. But by the way, there's other things too. I mean, you know, this doesn't preclude, I think those are signs that tell you you're going 35 and a 25. I think those things are wonderful. They affect me, you know. And parking a police car, you know, is a very effective tool. Alan Darling has suggested we hire a moose.
We do have a few minutes before the next piece, and I would like you to address your questions to Bud. Clearly, this is, some of it is visionary and will be more long range. However, in his drawings are a lot of short-term safety-oriented solutions. So as you're going through these as well, if you wish to annotate and say under other, you know, I like Bud's suggestion for X, Y, Z, or take a packet of the drawings and give your own input on those. I think those are two ways of responding. But right now, what questions do you have for Bud?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Cat Esty Planning Commission. We probably can't do it tonight, but I'm just trying to get my head around the bigger picture. Like, you know, a lot of you are reporting and been here since the 90s and such, but was this not a problem, say, back in the 80s or back in the 70s? I'm trying to wrap my head around, like, what's changed around here? You know, is it the fact that the roads are much better, or is there more traffic, or is it?
Yes and yes.
Or is it, what's affecting this, you know, so the 1995, that's like 23 years, but in a sense, that's not that, it's a long time. But I mean, cars have been going fast for a long time too. So I'm just trying to wrap my head around this, because that seems to me to help us get at the picture.
Pete and then John, and Pete, Nancy, John. I think John will have perspective of the 95.
Pete Manuel, I live on this end of Brookside, which is a hamlet, not a village. I don't know if I can remember that as a thing that means short for ham omelets, but anyway. We came in '73. The one thing that I don't think anybody's talked about, well, that nobody's mentioned here tonight is volume.
That's what I was going to say.
We really got to put that up there.
Okay, so John, Nancy and then John, go.
So, when people go from Brattleboro to Mount Snow, it used to be Route 9. It used to be the way to go. Now, if you look on your iPhone, whatever you do, it's going through Williamsville. It's a totally different way.
Whole GPS.
They've changed it. They've changed it. Somehow it's changed.
GPS.
So GPS has brought us the traffic. It really has.
That is very true, and I did some research on that because I wanted to see if Mount Snow was putting us our route. And it is not on their promo, because I am ready to write them. In fact, I have a letter drafted to say, please, if you're really trying to attract people to this area, please respect the character of villages, because that's part of our appeal. If anybody sees a Mount Snow literature, any kind of, here's how you get there, you know, go that back road through those cute little villages, let me know so I can actually go right at the marketing people and I say, hey, can we talk about this? John and then Breeze.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Nancy said, been here since the late 60s, and it is all about volume. It's, you know, there's 25 times the amount of traffic going through there used to be.
So we're cursed and we're blessed by our success.
Or something.
Or something. Breeze.
Mount Snow is, I think.
When I drove a motorcycle, I was taught to pretend you're invisible, but no one sees you. I gave up, my motorcycle blew up and I was happy because I wasn't left laying in the road. But I now realize I am driving my car like I'm driving a motorcycle because it happens regularly, once a week, between here and Brattleboro, somebody crosses the road at me. And then within the past 2 weeks, I saw a young man drive through one of those stop signs on Cedar Street, talking on his cell phone, and he never saw the stop sign. 2 days later, between the cotton mill and the co-op going down South Main Street, a young woman was messing with her cell phone between parked cars, not paying attention, wandered right in the middle of South Main Street with me driving right at her, and then kind of went, oh, sorry, and wandered off the road. 2 days later, some young woman was out here in front of the eatery as I'm heading northeast towards the concrete bridge. I'm going by the eatery. She all of a sudden pulls out of the eatery. Her car was facing my way, like she was going to drive right into me. And I hit the horn. I don't know if she's on her cell phone, and she screams at me, "Relax!"
Okay.
So people are in another zone.
So
So in addition to volume, it would be something that I would say, which I had said before, which is electronic distraction. And yes, the roads are better, which is what I was saying before too. If you listen to a VPR report on this, the more that they're straightening and improving our roads here, the greater the problem is. So much for success. Yes, Liz,
I just want to say one more thing. When I was doing the traffic stuff, the plows, the plows, whatever, they wanted the roads wide so they could get the plows through fast. That was one of the arguments they had.
So I think let's keep going back to the point of safety, safety, safety. Village enhancement is totally important. Safety is first. Bud, I want to thank you very much. If anybody has any questions for Bud, either now or later, let's be sure to connect with them. Did you have another?
Before Bud, just to thank Bud for his hard work. And when you said, Bud, how dangerous it is, and when you brought that back home again, that was something. Thank God this guy's getting up there and naming it. This is a serious problem. You said so. Thank you for that.
Some of you, I actually printed just one second about the safety, about one of those pictures that Nancy Reed had taken of some of the Timpson Hill School kids on Dover Road. Be sure to take a look at it before you leave. It's going to make your hair curl. I sent it to some of you who are on that email list. Yeah.
You know, it seems to me there's about, the number in my head is about 2,000 cars a day use Dover Road.
Oh, yeah. Easy.
And you know, Vermont actually has a pretty good set of standards called the Vermont State Standards for Local Roads, which equates traffic speed with road width.
Right.
And the interesting part is the speed, because if you knock that speedway down, you can reduce the road width. I have to believe we have the right to narrow our roads in the village. I just have to believe that's true.
So, Chris, we have one more comment in this section. Yeah.
But thank you so much for all you do. I mean, that's an enormous amount of work.
Yes.
And I love that vision of the narrow roads and the walkable villages and the sidewalks. And I mean, that's a dream to me that we could do that. But a bigger question is, I know we're talking long term. Is this something that we bring to the town and say, what does this cost and can we pay for it? I mean, how does that, maybe that's a bigger question than we want to ask now, but I hate to have visions, just like I said about speed humps, and then, is it something that we can dream about and maybe possibly pay for it?
I think, I don't know, I think that Marion's here, and I'm so grateful that she is, because the minute that we started talking about this, when Breeze went to the May 7th meeting, he came back and said, this is a totally different select board, they're totally responsive, and they totally get it. When I was here June 18th, totally different, totally responsive, totally get it. And they're waiting for us. And no, we can't have all of our dreams come true, but safety, 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 that is the priority. I had someone in my cast who lives right over there, Jesse Anderson's wife, say, oh, no wonder, because she was coming into the show, no wonder you're having this traffic coming thing. It is so dangerous out there. Just coming in to perform in a show. And a car won't slow down. Bud, Janine and Dan and Ken. Bud, go ahead.
Oh, just this road narrowing thing, if you go to the materials that Lynn picked up,
okay,
you'll see sometimes they start by just painting a line, repainting the lines, and you know, putting little boxes or something in the road. So they do it cheaply as a trial sometimes. It's in some of those materials.
That's something that was recommended by these guys that said that you can try temporary measures as well, and not break the bank. Janine.
Yeah, Janine Rose Baker. I'm just wondering, I like the road narrowing, I think it makes total sense, but I'm wondering about all those, coming barreling down Baker Brook, the logging trucks and all, they're the ones that are going to be squawking the most, because they're going to work where? To the ski resorts. And they're there twice a day, or maybe 3 times, barreling back and forth. So
I think what Lynn was saying is we're trying to change our behaviors.
right. I mean,
I really worked in
I don't know, I think you guys don't want to try to stick to the agenda, we're getting to the really fun part, when you get up and dance. Okay? Yes.
So I feel it has to do with people's conscience. I put up about 4 drive like your kids signs out front.
Right.
And ever since I did that, you get a handful of people who slow down. And I go outside and I'm like, why is everyone slowing down? But it works. And then you get the people that will buy. So it's more of, I don't think signs are gonna work. It has to do with physically slowing people down. Because, you know, I see signs all the time. If I'm far out, I don't pay attention, I blow right by them. But when something catches your, oh, someone's kids are here, I'm gonna slow down. I have kids, you know? So that catches people's attention, but not all. So it has to do with physically slowing people down.
I'm sorry, man.
Just to respond to what you were asking, Chris, if this committee or whomever, the planning commission comes up with a set of recommendations and the select board want to do it and there's a cost, then if the select board agrees to put it in the budget, town meeting ultimately makes the decision. So we make the decision at town meeting. So that means that if we really want this to happen, and it is happening in a way that seems adequate, without doubt there will be a cost. And so without doubt, if that's going to be passed at town meeting, you'll need an active citizen campaign to get people to come to town meeting, to get them informed about it in the first place, and then to get them to come to town meeting to actually vote on it. So if that's ultimately the select board make the recommendation, town meeting does the budget. So step 1 is getting a sensible recommendation that the select board can agree to. And then you figure out what it costs, and then it'll take a concentrated, serious campaign between now and March to get people to come to town meeting, which is a big plus because that'll give people a reason to come to town meeting. That's, you know, this can actually do 2 things at once.
We're gonna have-
That's how you get the funding.
All due respect, we're gonna have to find a way to make town meeting accessible to working people.
Yes.
So that's a big issue there. Lynn, go.
I'm not sure whose comment I added on, but it was on temporary measures. I was at Claremont University or college the other day, and at a conference, and I looked down and OMG, there was a crosswalk that was painted and it looked just like bricks. And so there's that temporary thing. Yes, was it starting to wear away? Yes. Was it one of those things that people would look at and go, oh wait, I have to slow down because there's bricks here. So I think there are things we can do, and I think the town meeting and people staying interested and involved is really important.
Well, you get a sense that everybody likes the idea. I mean, that's the feeling I have. But are there any ways to get either state funding or historic, grants, or some way we can, so that we can say we can match funds from somewhere for a project, but up the road, is there any kind of? I'm not sure how. I think so.
Well, that is there to incorporate it, probably.
Yeah, I mean, and those are excellent questions, and I'm so glad that Russ is taking this, because all this stuff is now documented. I can't be the engine for that, and I can't speak for my fellow liaisons. We just wanted to kick this one in the butt and get it out there so people are looking at it. But I can't take that on. We're going to have to, unfortunately, ask the select board to take everything we give them and say, okay, we get it. We get it. They mean business. I think Bud said it more profoundly and articulately than anybody could. It's an accident waiting to happen. In terms of how we get there, yeah, that's the next big step.
It's always, these things always are so wonderful, and then when it comes to the money, everybody, so if we have
Well,
some
a lot
way
of these things,
we got some money.
some of these things I think have been pointed out don't take a boatload of dough right now. So I think that needs to be assessed as well. However, bottom line, if we're trying to save a little kid's life, what price tag we put up?
One comment?
Yeah.
I know the work in Newfane Village, West Street, was partially paid by the State of Vermont grant, partially paid by the actual incorporated village, and partially paid by a matching grant from the state. I have an email out to Richard Moore of the community, Vermont Department of Communities. with some ideas of where to go for grant funding.
Okay, well, that's very, very helpful.
Yeah.
Ken, you wanted to speak, so I don't want to cut you off. So,
Well, I mean, that whole notion of safety, 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 you know, if we save one life, you know, it's such a compelling narrative. And, you know, getting to Dan's point, I mean, if there's any purpose for any town government, it's the security and safety of the people. I mean, if governments are for general welfare, you know, the welfaring of everybody who lives here, then what else could you ask for than that from your own select board, your own planning commission, your own neighbors? And I think that narrative is just very, very powerful, and I'm glad that I'm hearing it.
I'm getting a lot of clarity tonight, and I hope other people are as well. Let's move on to the next point, which is we, in our villages, want to really hone in on what specifically is it about our villages that is involved in this concern around traffic calming and village character. So I'll start with Williamsville, then I'll ask Jen to come up and do Brookside, and Marcia, if you would do South Newfane or Bud, it doesn't, either one. In Williamsville, our specific concerns are, we have the post office, and a blind, how am I doing? Too loud. We have a post office, and we have a blind curve as you're coming east, approaching it from the west. Okay, so that is a hazardous spot right there, and it's the post office that you all use. It's our post office. Secondly, we have a preschool in the village. And Nancy did take 3 compelling shots of kids walking there a year ago. They speak 1,000 words. Traffic to and parking for the eatery. We are so lucky there. I mean, Williamsville is now on the map for having like this great little place. It demands parking, and it needs space and walkability. Williamsville Hall now being year-round, I hear, with the potential for events here all the time, even when the eatery is packed, including senior meals. And then we have events at John's beautiful church. And so Breeze the other day sort of spelled out this scenario for me, and I said, holy okay. Not on television. Okay, so the winter conditions impact on safe access to the hall, the church, and the post office and the eatery. Again, just picture that. Seniors coming to senior meal, snowbank, ice, or picture that there's a music night here, and again, elderly come to all of our events. Young kids come to all of our events. Snowbank, ice, traffic from the eatery. John's got a rehearsal dinner for somebody who's getting married. You have every inch of roadway available, covered with parked cars and ice, and somebody comes tearing through at 45, 50 miles an hour.
Going enough snow to go speeding quickly and get home back to bed.
Right. So a lot of Brookside issues have been mentioned earlier, but this is a list compiled after talking to some neighbors of what is unique to Brookside. The first is the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit there. So that 10 miles an hour higher limit means that when people are speeding, they're going above 70, flying right through it. So the significant speed is pretty intense in Brookside. The other is that we have a straightaway coming from this way to Brookside, where it's a higher speed going right into the village in a straightaway. And then I'm coming from Eastover, we've got the steep hill coming right into Brookside. So those two things contribute to the higher speed. And just to note, there are definitely skiers who are using it, and that's an issue. But we, as neighbors, have all observed that probably 3/4, at least half, are locals. There are this community, Eastover, our own neighbors, so we have to acknowledge that fact. And this is where I think that the also know, as was mentioned, we don't have a stop sign or a crosswalk or a curve that the other, in the village part that naturally slow people down in the other villages, so we don't have that. Also, the road is wider, it's perceptually wider coming in to the village. But then, once you get into the areas right in the center, the houses are incredibly close to the road. And so are mailboxes and places people need to go. So those are the pieces that are unique to Brookside.
Marcia, do you want to do them? Thank you, Jen, and then finally South Newfane.
In South Newfane, as soon as you get over the covered bridge, it's kind of a straightaway, so I think people start speeding up there. And then by the time they get to the Parish Hill and the Green Iron Bridge, they are still speeding, and they go right around that curve where you can't see who's coming the other way, and you can't, so they can't see each other. And if you're on the side of the road, which I am often, because I walk there often, sometimes you feel like you just have to jump over to Chris and Carol's house. I mean, there's no place to go. So that curve is particularly bad. And then coming from Auger Hole or Dover Road through the South Newfane Village, it's pretty straight, and people just pick up speed there also. Let's see. Yeah, so like I said, the sight distance is short. There's a blind curve. But also, there are events now at the South Newfane Schoolhouse quite a bit, and there's not much parking. And so when there's an event happening there, it gets a little tight in there as people are moving through and not obeying the speed limit. So that's what I got for South Newfane.
Perfect. Okay, now this is where you come in, and this is super duper important, okay? You each have your 4 stickers, okay? Clearly, there are a couple of teachers involved in the organizing of this one, okay? But, so if you have anything to add to the issues, please go ahead. There are markers back there. Okay, super. So the markers of different colors are there. This one particular poster says Village ID Enhancement. This is long-range visionary character enhancement. You don't need to put a sticker there, just add ideas, okay? Just add your ideas of things we can do individually or things we can do as a village.
And there's markers on the...
And there are markers there. Other than that, put your little sticker and look around the room and pick 4 that you would say, I don't know, Romana, that you would say, yeah, that would work. I live here, I've lived here, and I know that would work. Put it up there. If you want to put an annotation, if you want to put a comment with that, take the color from your town, if you don't mind, from your village, and just make a comment. If we could do all that and get that wrapped up, in about 20 minutes, that'd be super duper, and then Dan will wrap us up with a final discussion. Somebody had a hand up, Mike, and then Lynn.
The constable here, and what is that?
Okay, so the constable, or I think I put or law enforcement. The thing that came up most frequently as I culled all the input posted on the front porch forum, which is what I did. Remember when I started to put that stuff out on the front porch? So I culled all that. And I culled all the emails that I got as I started those email exchanges. So it took time, but it was worth it. The thing that came up most is more enforcement. So call that what you will, constable, more state police, I don't know how all that works, more local, I mean, like, a bouncer, a thug, something like that. Somebody to enforce the speed limit. Enforcement is what you can call it. But please make your annotations on that. Any other comments before we get up and do this work? Lynn?
Okay, so the colored dots that point to people in South Newfane is yellow.
Yeah.
And if you write in yellow, nobody will see it. So I suggest finding a green one, because
Okay.
nobody else has got green. And
Okay,
if
cool.
you're colorblind and you can't tell, just come and ask me and I'll tell you which one's green.
Okay, and Pete?
Yeah, I just very quickly, I've been involved in town stuff for a long time, less lately, but I'm still a Wyndham Regional representative. Wyndham Regional did a study, I will not read it into the record tonight, came out in '95, and there are two things here that struck me as I went through it again today. From January '92, this is old, but it's still, I think, good. From January '92 to November '94, there were 12 accidents on Depot Road and 17 on the Dover Road. Wow. January '72, November '94. As well, oh, if I can find it. Paper clip's in the wrong place. Very quickly, 45%, I'll take it off. 45%, when they did a traffic count, 45% of the vehicles going through were at the speed limit or less. So we know we have a 55% problem too, in some way or another. And all my stickers are going on enforcement.
When was that study?
This study was done in the early 90s.
So I think
mid-90s.
probably more than 55% are going over the speed limit now.
And they're more
hostile.
hostile.
I was reading.
75%.
I know, that's good. Thank you so much. Joan?
I'm sorry, I came here a little late tonight, but I wondered, did anyone talk about the speed limit signs that have been placed in the village in terms of sort of the feedback signs, and did we collect any data from?
I was asking Shannon for data a few times because it's there, and I never got any report on it, and then we've got to the planning of this.
Okay.
But the data is available, and then that speed feedback sign has been gone for a long time.
No, it's not gone, it's in Brookside. It's one sign. It's
all
big
moving
for,
around.
It migrates.
yeah.
All right, well, maybe we can have a bake sale and get one for each village, yeah.
That would be good.
Just so you know, I don't remember who quoted, I guess the guy's name is Jay, but those signs
Jay
cost
Wilson.
$3,400. That's what I heard. That's why you're not.
Let's raise some money, yeah. Tell me your name again, because you're.
Mike.
Mike, okay.
But if we get those signs, is there a way to either hook them to poles or get them solar powered? That way they don't die, because they work.
Yeah.
They work. They slow me down. They slow everybody down. They work, but they die.
So
after a few weeks.
Where's the sign for the?
Right up here, electronic speed limit.
It's on there. All this is on there, yeah?
I think that's the best. I
You're about
mean,
to
speed bumps
do it.
aren't
You're
going to
about
do
to
it.
go.
More signage isn't going to do it.
Yeah. Where's what?
Is the feedback speed sign part of enforcement, or is it a?
Electronic speed limit signs with digitized speed monitors. Just put any comments you want there. Remember to put your stickers up. Dan and then Bree.
Would I get to explain the constable thing?
Would you explain the constable thing?
So the thing with enforcement, if we contract with the state police, they say, yeah, that's great. However, we said, we want you from, rush hour. And they say, well, sorry, we can't promise you that because there might be an accident on Route 9. We can't do that. So they can give you X number of hours sort of at their discretion. You can tell them where you want them to be. But that's the trouble with hiring either the sheriff's department, which has proven not necessarily reliable all the time, or the state police who have often proved overburdened. The constable thing is a separate thing. If the town decides to do a constable, you have to send that constable to constable training school. It's a whole thing. It's an expense. It's like having it's not like having a police department, but it's a large expense because you have to fund all the necessary things for the constable to actually be authorized to stop people for speeding. So it's another cost thing. So you can try to up your budget with the state police or have a new budget with the sheriff's department, but they're both problematic because both of those institutions are overworked and underperformed in terms of what we want to have happen. And the constable thing itself would be a possibility that would be a major investment that the town would have to agree to in terms of money.
Constables don't exist now, there's just constables.
Well, you can have a pretend constable that doesn't really have any force other than persuasion, sort of. And you can have an authorized constable who's been trained at the State Police Academy and, has got their papers, and they can actually do law enforcement of certain types.
So it sounds like you're saying we would have to pay to train them.
Well, it's a town. The town has to hire them, and they have to, and so they're employees, so you have to do what you have to do for an employee. You have to, then it's a car, the whole deal. It's like, it's law enforcement. So does the town want to invest in our own law enforcement, That's a constable.
I see, okay.
And just a note about the speed, Jay, when he dropped them off in Brookside recently, he said he was trying to figure out the best way to get the data. He's working on it. He was very aware of that. He said they've had trouble figuring out how to get it to the select board, but he was mentioning it.
Okay.
So.
Great.
A lot of people were bringing up issues, and then you're saying, oh, well, it's there, or it's there. So either I would say to everybody, walk around the room and make a point of viewing every sign. It might stimulate some thoughts in you, or have you read them out loud.
And then we come, I'd love to take the time to read them out loud, but I want to be sure to get back together for conversation. I recommend that you go around, look at everything, and then place your stickers. You only have 4 And there are markers around.
Always love seeing this.
Hi, Kelly. How are you? How are you? Jen, Mike and I really yeah, well, I've been putting some words on it. Yeah. Mike was, he was so funny. I said, Sarah, I don't know
Dee McFarland was really the energizer. I don't know if you know Dee. She's 98 years old. She's just an incredible lady. She's still sharp all the time. She still runs the raffle with the Children's Festival. I mean, she's amazing. But, she got inspired by my that's what got it going. And then we got another
yeah, it's a great idea.
I have to take a picture for you all. You're taking it now?
Yes, we should. I don't know, sorry. I'm going the other way, you guys. Stop.
Come back together and
I'll just put your face as some sort of thing.
These signs for Williamsville, entering, leaving Williamsville. So if you have, to wrap her up again, I think it's pretty fascinating to look and see, the frequency of dots.
If I'm around. We've only a couple,
If you're done, why don't we come sit down?
Yeah.
Okay? Look at that, our whiteboard chair is photographing the results. That's pretty darn cool.
I would like Dan to come and just see if there are closing remarks. I also want to remind everybody that at Joanne and Lynn's house tomorrow at 9.
492 Dover Road, and there's plenty of parking.
492 Dover Road.
10 miles from the old schoolhouse on the way to Hershey.
Okay, and at that point, we're going to be looking at all these results and determining what is best to say to the select board tomorrow night. If you are available and you would like to come to the select board meeting, I haven't heard from Shannon actually when we're on. Are we on first? Do you know Marion by any chance?
No, I don't know.
Okay, I will have to ask Shannon. But it would be good. And again, tomorrow night, we're going to go report to the select board.
Give me
Tomorrow night.
What?
Tomorrow night is at Lynn's house too.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning is at Lynn's house to call everything, to boil this all down.
We'll have coffee.
Tomorrow evening, I mean, it's time for our monthly report to the select board on this issue. So we are going to them. And if we can know by the end of the evening when we're on, if we're going to go to them with our assessments, the word demand is rough, but it's kind of where we are. I think it's where we are.
Recommendations.
Okay, what you said, recommendations? Recommendations have been given for 23 years and counting. So we need action. Yeah.
And it's 6:50.
6:50.
It's the first item on the scheduled members of the public.
Bless your heart. 6:50 tomorrow. Be there, be square. Yep.
I will say that this select board is really, really efficient.
Yeah.
And people have come for their time, and the select board has already gone. So, if you're on for 6:50, get there at like 20 after 6 at the latest.
Yeah,
There you go, Dan.
Three cheers for Marion.
So, what time is it right now?
It is now 8:35.
And we're supposed to be done by 9, and we'll be done earlier, correct? So at this point, just if we have things that we haven't mentioned so far, we've had a chance to go around and look at all this stuff. So this is just sort of a free discussion, but we will try to just keep it focused on these villages. And probably mostly things that haven't been said 2 or 3 times already tonight, I would guess. So all I'm going to do is help facilitate the conversation if there is one. So, yes, Joanne.
Joanne, I was, as we're all talking, I think this is a wonderful discussion. One thing, and Dan, you mentioned about the constable or having the state police or whatever. I drive into Mount Snow quite often, and there's, right after Brookside, as you come down the hill, there has been, a few months ago, there was a state policeman parked there, and you can't see him, and it says you're coming down the hill, so he's gonna get you because you're coasting, right? And I know he's there, at least I know he used to be there, and even though he hasn't been there for months, I still am aware that he was there. For a while, there are also people coming the other direction, they flash their lights to let you know that there's a state policeman there. And I'm thinking, maybe, and this is kind of like bending the rules a little bit, but maybe as we're driving down the road, we see somebody coming towards us. You got it. This is a very quick group.
Actually, I've done that many times. And when you do it, and then you look in the rearview mirror and you see the lights going, it gives you a great degree of satisfaction.
Great. Mary, I just wanted to share this so you get our experience of, we've had a play here the past 2 nights, as you know. And Friday night, I had some friends come over to our house to hang out for 45 minutes before the play. And then we just walked down 6 houses. And there was 6 people. I live here, I knew what I was doing, I had a flashlight with me. We started walking down Main Street right here, and I'm playing sheepdog with these people, because I could see a car coming. I said, you guys gotta get over it. You guys gotta get over it. I walked down the side of the road with a flashlight flashing at the driver, and right behind me are all the parked cars for the front of this place. This car never slowed. It was a large car. They just came right through us and the parked cars, and they never slowed down. And that translated to me into a pretty angry feeling. I felt pretty angry that someone was that disrespectful while I was. So that's just like one night. I've almost got hit in front of the post office. You take your life in your hands around here. That's why it's not a, we were at Cape Cod this summer with a shark, I call it attack, a shark incident. And people have been saying over there, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. And if somebody like myself who lives in this village, I'm an intelligent person that's had some experience in life, and it is very clear to me, it is not if, it is when. It is going to happen. This is a dangerous spot.
I think we're all in agreement that it's necessary. So if we can, let's try to focus on ideas on how to move forward. I will say, in terms of the process, the Planning Commission right now is reviving the town plan as required by the state. And so part of what they are doing is, a whole section is on traffic. So this is a really opportune time, because if these recommendations are taken up by the select board and the Planning Commission, they will actually be incorporated into the town plan, and that's a meaningful document. And that'll help enforce the general tenor and power of these rules and laws. So if you are interested in following through with this, the Planning Commission is a really good place to be in touch with, because they're the ones doing that work right now, and you can give them as much input or assistance or join as you wish. So this is an opportune time to, in between now and town meeting, when the funding, if something happens, the funding will ultimately come on town meeting. So if you put a timeline between now and March, you can sort of have a finite beginning, middle, and end of how to maybe figure out what you might want to do to get this happening. Yes.
The Planning Commission meets on the second and fourth Mondays. We have just changed our meeting date. And this coming on the 22nd will be 7 o'clock, and from then on will be 6 o'clock in the evening.
So every Monday, it's either a select board meeting or a Planning Commission meeting.
Yeah.
That's town offices.
Select board is every first and third Monday at 6 p.m.
Any other comments?
So I would be interested in, from a planning commission perspective, generally, is that to hear, to get a report from Newfane Village as such about the historical development of that section of West Street, you know, to assess, you know, what really has happened as a result of that capital investment there with respect to traffic. Because for me, in my sense, I'm definitely putting stickers on village enhancement, because I see this as an architectural issue as much as I see it as I see it much more as an architectural issue than I see it as an enforcement matter. But if we have, you know, good data that tells us that, you know, there hasn't been that big of an effect, I mean, we would still want our villages to be enhanced. But if we're not seeing that that really makes a difference, or if it does, you know, we need to know that, not just in, say, Newfane, but elsewhere. So I think that should be an emphasis as part of our research going forward.
Do you know, Marion, who would be the most likely person who might know if that data exists, or where it might be if it did?
What I can do is find out from the trustees of the incorporated village of Newfane.
That's all right.
And if I sounded like it didn't make a difference, it does make a difference. It's just that I don't want you to think that we don't have speeders, and I don't want you to think that people pay attention to all the signs, because some people do, and most people do. But we still have speeding problems. But it's certainly, you know, it's a very lovely place with sidewalks, which is something that a lot of people didn't want. There was a lot of opposition to having real sidewalks. And truthfully, since it's been done, I think everybody's very happy that we do have sidewalks. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, thanks, Mary, because that was the point I was going to make about
regardless of the data, even if it exists about whether cars have slowed down or not on West Street, the fact that you have sidewalks, pedestrians know that they always have a safe place to walk. And I Breeze, the story that you told, about walking up from here. I'll just give a little anecdote in South Newfane. Friday night, Carol and I were going up to the new Treehouse Village Inn, which is a really cool new thing that's happened at the old inn in South Newfane. Those folks invited us up. And it's a 2-minute walk from our house, but we took the car. And I thought, how sad that in our own village to go walk and spend a night with neighbors that are across the road, we had to take the car because I thought when we're coming home it will be dark and I can't risk walking across that, that little stretch of road and down the hill back to our driveway. And having a sidewalk and a crosswalk, even if people are still driving fast, that it gives a sense that this is where pedestrians walk and most likely a car's not going to come up on the sidewalk. So as much as I love the rural quality of our villages and I don't want to lose that, I think that some of the things that Bud talked about, if it's done right and well with good planning, sidewalks can really enhance a village and still keep us feeling rural. And thank you.
Bud, Marion.
Me?
You had,
Yeah, well, 2 thoughts now. I mean, if we had that data in Newfane from before, that might help us if we could prove that, we use that as an example. But the other thing I was wondering, I'm not from this area, but is there an issue with lighting at night too? I know on Dover Road there is, but with lights, I mean, for you going home, for instance. Lights in the road?
Marion?
Well, that's what I was just trying to add when I raised my hand. We just got new road lights, street lights, within the last year or a year and a half. Because at night, West Street used to be pretty dark. We had maybe 3 or 4 lights, not even, and they were dim lights. And now we really started insisting that we need to have street lights because even with sidewalks, it was dangerous at night because you couldn't see, the road was dark. And now we have not only new street lights, but they have new kind of lights. I don't know, LED lights now. It is a huge difference. So I think that more you're correct in bringing it up, and that's what I was raising my hand about too, that with the crosswalks, I think we should add street lighting because that really made a big difference.
Okay, Janine, who had to leave, my neighbor Janine, is big on lighting as well. It's something that hadn't even come up on our radar, so it's good that that comes up. I think what ultimately I have issues around sidewalks because to me, a sidewalk says, oh good, the pedestrian is safe, so I can speed. So there are a lot of things that go back and forth around that. No matter what, a sidewalk is going to be a long-term implementation. Again, I think what we need to focus on, what we need to send the select board is right now to improve safety right now. These are things that these are things that can be afforded. So there are some things on this list that cost very little. And, sidewalks do not cost very little. Sidewalks are a big chunk. So I'm just saying that ultimately, we're looking for short-term safety measures and long-term village enhancement. Short-term measures that are affordable and doable now.
Now I have to change my stickers.
Lynn.
So this is short term, and it's each person personal to do. And I've seen some effects in Williamsville where somebody, I forget who it is, and there's flowers. And I have to post them because it's so cool and so beautiful to look at. An idea that is seasonal right now is if everybody made a couple snow people, not snow people, straw people, and they stack them, and they put them on the pole near the house as you go by.
Right on the edge of the road.
Dressed like children and waving.
I am not
Put a state trooper's hat on.
as the planning commission. I am speaking as Liv Forrest, who people are driving very fast past my house. This was done, we saw it done up in Burlington, and it was done as a competition. And I think there's another town local, where there's a, on Main Street Arts. Saxon's River, and they're having a competition. There's Scarecrow people, and then we could do that, and we could do that tomorrow, after I have all this stuff to stuff, my people. And put them along. You should see the one I had in a hot skirt. So we can have it out, and people will slow down because they're interested to see, so it's a positive way of getting some of this attention. It's just an idea people might want to try. I'll let you know if it seems to work. My inflatable hearse is up, and that's definitely working.
That brings up one more point. I did start this email list, and I think if anybody wants to be on it, again, I'm not an engine behind anything, but if anybody wants to be like in this dialogue on email about, I had an idea or whatever, you can take that email list I sent you. I don't know if I did BCC. I don't think I did. And you can just beam things back to people. That might be something you want to just engage.
On West Street, Maud and I have dinner with B. McFarland fairly often, and she's a wealth of information on how West Street happened, but the thing I do recall is that it started with a $35,000 grant that she applied for. That's what got it going.
Anyone else? I think we. Yes.
I'm going to say thank you to the village liaisons for their work in it, for keeping the cheerleader and driving on the road. And please.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much for taking this on.
You're welcome.
So is everybody fairly clear on if you want to pursue this, you can contact the planning commission or the select board. If you choose not to do that, you have no permission to complain.
Good closing line.